Follow us on Facebook at Dante A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Dante Long. Follow us on YouTube at Dante A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to Long Talk.
Good evening, and God bless everyone that is joining us this evening for Long Talk. And so thankful for you taking the time to come and be a part of this meaningful conversation. And we're so thankful that you have taken the time to join us here on Long Talk. And this is a great day for us to engage in meaningful dialogue, because there is a lot going on in our culture, in our community, and in our country. And so why not take a few moments and have a long talk? And we've got a great show lined up for you on this evening. And if this is your first time joining us, please, if you will, ma'am, if you will, sir, just take a moment and follow us here at Long Talk. Go to our Facebook page. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and share this wonderful conversation, because it's going to be a tremendous, meaningful dialogue. If you're on YouTube tonight, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell to join the conversation there on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, please continue to follow us on Instagram, or follow us on Instagram and on Twitter as well. All of these platforms, we do share meaningful dialogue and inspirational quotes and information that will help you navigate through life, particularly here in our community and across the world at large. So please take just a moment and follow us here at Long Talk on the various platforms, okay? Thank you so very much. And again, thank you so much for those that are watching, those that are tuning in. Tonight, we've got a wonderful show lined up for you. We've got a special guest that's hailing from right here in Clayton County. She is a leader in our community. She serves as one of the Clayton County Board of Education members, particularly in District 1. She's a beautiful, wonderful, charismatic young lady, and we are so privileged tonight to have her on Long Talk. So Long Talk audience, without any further ado, would you please help me welcome Miss Jasmine Bowles. Help me welcome Miss Jasmine Bowles. Good evening, Miss Jasmine.
Good evening. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to come and be a part of this conversation. And just thankful that you again will take the time to be with us, because I know you're very busy and I know you got a lot going on. And so anytime that we're privileged to have a community leader with us, we always count it as an honor, and it's always just a joy to have you be a part of the conversation. And so, Jasmine, tonight you have made a significant impact on our community. You've got a wonderful story that we'll get to in just a few moments, but just real quickly, while you've made a significant impact on our community, there is a larger community of individuals that are watching tonight here on Long Talk that may not have any inkling or any idea as to who you are. So would you just take just a moment and give a quick introduction as to who is Miss Jasmine Bowles?
Absolutely. Well, again, good evening, everyone, viewers near and far who are tuned in this evening. My name is Jasmine Bowles, and I have the honor and privilege of representing the students, families, and neighbors in District 1 for Clayton County Public Schools on the Board of Education. And even though I'm earmarked for District 1, all of the children in Clayton County are my kids, and so I fight for all of you. And so thank you. That is probably one of the main reasons that brings us together this evening. But I'm also a community member, an organizer, a lifelong educator, and just really glad to be in conversation and in community with my neighbors. So thank you.
Wonderful, Miss Jasmine. Wonderful. Your story is so significant because I believe it was about 2 years ago. You couldn't turn anywhere, even out of the neighborhood that I live in personally. You couldn't turn out of the neighborhood without seeing your radiant smile, your
Oh,
picture, your face, saying, "Vote for Jasmine Bowles." And I got to be quite honest with you. I, along with many others, said, "Who in the world is Jasmine Bowles?" Right? We
yeah.
never heard of who you were. There was not a lot of information out unless we would later find out that you were a homegrown girl right here in our community. But I remember that election day, and when I saw it on local news that night, that you had pulled off a miracle, I said, Jasmine Bowles is the name that we must get to know. Uh, for
Mm.
those that, again, may not know, what miracle am I talking about here tonight?
Well, the miracle you may be referring to, um, it was 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and believe it or not, it was my second campaign. So I call it being 27 and crazy. But in 2016, I ran for the State House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
I fell short in that race of the win, but knew then what I know now, which is there is space for us
Mm-hmm.
in roles of leadership in our community, not only locally, but also at state and
Mm-hmm.
congressional levels.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed in the fight. And in 2018, I decided to throw my hat in the ring right here in my hometown. So I'm
Okay.
a proud product of Clayton County Public Schools. And there are 9 seats on the board. And those 9 people are responsible for making really big decisions. So I've been a classroom teacher most of my professional career and felt that it was right that I could be a strong advocate for our students and families here in Clayton County. When I decided to run, it was not what we call an empty seat. The incumbent, which means the person who had been sitting in that seat, still decided to run. And so it was she and I was able to win. But this wasn't just any incumbent, she was also the chair of the board. And so I think that may be what you are referring to. But it was a very exciting time, and I have the people to thank for that.
Well, we are just so thankful that you took it upon yourself to
Thank
to
you.
pull off that, because again, to watch you come into our community and make such a tremendous, I mean an absolutely tremendous impact on our community was really mind-boggling, because I often had said you are a testament to so many young people who have aspirations but no uh, political history, right?
Right.
They've watched many incumbents uh, continue to be on the ballot, maybe many times finding themselves disenchanted with the results in their own community. But you took it upon yourself to say that I'm going to do something about it, right?
That's exactly right. And I
And
hope that was the takeaway for a lot of young people out there who were watching then or are watching now.
mm-hmm,
There's nothing that we can't do. Nothing is impossible. And I talk about proof a lot. And so there's only so much talking that gets us only so far, and the rest is just to show folks, despite adversity, stereotypes, or any doubt. Sometimes you just have to prove people wrong. And so I hope that young
absolutely.
people who are watching and all people who are watching become um, inspired and reminded that we can all do anything that we put our minds to.
Absolutely. And again, to watch you do that was just, I marveled at it.
Thank you.
And to see now, 2 years into your term, when many of us get the chance to watch the board meetings, to watch you play a very active role in representing residents in District 1. And many of us know your history in voting, because I believe you have done very meaningful things to protect the interest of our community. And may I first just say thank you so much, Jasmine, for
That
making
means
sure that,
the world to me. Thank you. Thank you
yeah,
for saying that. It is
I mean,
tough to speak up sometimes,
yeah,
but it means so much to me to know that it matters. And so thank you for saying that. It's very kind.
not a problem. I mean it. And I'm not just saying that because hundreds are watching us now, but I really mean it. Thank you so much. You can go on many different platforms. As a matter of fact, I was just on the Next Door platform earlier today, and as your name was in there, I was just going back looking at some of the comments of individuals thanking you for taking strong positions
Mm,
um, to make sure that increases to our taxes and increases to budgets were not, if they were not necessary, you did not just automatically sign off on them. As a matter of fact, I believe it was one vote where it was just you and one other board member out of the 9 that you speak of that held your ground and made sure that the interest of your constituents were placed greater than any other interest. And so, for that,
that's right.
again,
Thank you.
Jasmine, we
Thank
say
you.
thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't forgotten how I got here, right? Like this really cool campaign that the community got an opportunity to witness and participate in. There were
Mm-hmm.
high school students, there were families. And to be honest, I've got a lot of peers that I grew up right here in Clayton County with, and their parents and their families. And so I remember who I work for. And the reason I ran is for the students who I had in my classroom who don't have voting rights yet, and so they're all watching. And I just find that that is where my loyalty and responsibility lies. So
Mm.
thank you again. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want all of our viewers to do this tonight to follow. You perhaps are living in District 1 and or you're living in some part of Clayton County and you don't Jasmine, I'll be honest, so many residents don't even know who their representative is.
That's
And
right.
I'm sure there are at least several dozen people watching tonight that have no idea. So I want to avail the outlets of how they can connect with you. And many that are watching, I want you tonight just to take a moment and go to Instagram or go to Twitter at elect Jasmine, and connect with perhaps your board member, your friend, your girl, or however
That's
you will
right.
relate to her. And you can certainly follow her as she continues to make a significant impact for our community. All right. Well, Jasmine, I gotta be honest. We've got a lot to talk about, so
Yes,
hope you
we
don't
do.
mind if I just dig in real quick.
Let's do it.
Um, just yesterday, the superintendent of Clayton County Public Schools took to the airwaves of social media, and he addressed several thousand people concerning the current events of the entire school system. And as he was laying out his strategies, he made a statement and made a just gave out information that as of today, July the 9th, am I correct?
It's July
July
9th.
9th is my
Yes.
sister-in-law's birthday. Joanne, if you're watching, happy birthday.
Happy
But
birthday.
as of today, he said that the school system would actually delay its initial opening to August 10th. To August 10th. Am I correct? Did I hear that correctly yesterday?
You are correct. August 10th is the new reopening date.
Wow. He's
Yes.
and he said that this was because prior to making that announcement, he said that um, there were a lot of logistical concerns with laptops, broadband internet, families still making the decisions concerning if they were going to send the kids to the school or keep them at home or try to do both or what that scheduling was going to look out. And so there was a lot of confusion. And then, believe it or not, some people even left yesterday's announcement a bit confused. So if you would just clarify some of the main hot button items that many of your constituents, and really to the broader audience of all of the constituents inside of Clayton County school system.
Yeah.
Just sort of, if you don't mind, speak to some of those hot button issues to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. I will say, just for clarifying purposes, all that I am about to say is the thoughts and opinions of Jasmine Bowles, and I will not speak on behalf of our district.
Sure.
But the reason I lay that out is because you're absolutely right, Dante. Those are the proposed items for next Monday's board meeting. So, in a press release yesterday, the public now knows that we have the opportunity to consider the budget and the reopening plans for next school year. And those have been big decisions that we've been going through for a while now, between sharing plans, sending surveys, conducting budget hearings. But we've got to make a choice on all this stuff soon. And with the budget conversation, one of the things that delayed us was, honestly, the state hadn't finished up their legislative session yet, so we didn't have a state budget to even benchmark our numbers on. Well, a lot of those things have come to fruition now, and so we have a school board meeting on Monday where we will make these decisions. One of the things I would like to clarify is during and throughout the go back to school plan, there have been about 3 to 4 options: hybrid options, full in-class options, and a full virtual option. Well, it is my belief, my sincere belief, that anything that places our children in harm's way is irresponsible, full stop. And so I think that all of our scholars should be virtual. And the good news is I'm one person, one of 9, but most of my colleagues and the administration agree. And so, again, we're going to make a formal announcement and decision after a vote on Monday. But right now, it's looking like 100% virtual, which I think is the smart, best option. And that virtual date being 5 days after the intended date. And you're right, there's just a lot of logistics to get in place. And one of the things that I'm continuing to advocate for, not only for District 1 students, but all students, is access to technology. We still have babies who don't have what they need, no matter what the start date is. And so we're doing a lot. I'm really proud of some of the decisions we're making and the direction we're going, but we've still got more work to do, and that's one of them.
So you heard it first, Long Talk audience. We're going to ask it one more time for those that were in the back or those that just walked in and tuned in. Miss Jasmine Bowles, your position concerning concerning the 2020 initial returning back to school is what?
My position is that students should not go back to school physically at the beginning of the school year, and that every scholar should have a virtual option. I also want to say thank you for letting me clarify that, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the obvious, which is how badly I wish this were not the case. I wish our scholars were in school. I wish that we didn't continue to have learning regression. I wish our families and parents and grandparents and all the aunties and cousins who've been pitching in, I wish everyone could, have some sense of normalcy, and that the school could be one of the ways that happens. But the truth is, I don't wish for any of those things at the sacrifice of our children. And so, I'm sorry. I wish it were different. But this is all of our first pandemic, and I think we're all doing our best. And the best case scenario here is to prioritize the safety and wellness of our students and families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jasmine, I thank you so strongly for taking a very courageous approach to supporting a full virtual approach to returning, because I think the point that you made earlier, if we were to place any of our children in harm's way, would be totally irresponsible.
That's right.
I don't believe that any of us would do that. And I know you share in that same opinion. I don't think any of us would be as disingenuous to just throw our children back because we want to get them out the house, right?
That's right. No, that's not who we are. Not in Clayton County. And we will not be bullied or pressured by anyone who's not on the school board, including the president. I think, yeah,
Well,
we're going to make the right choices here.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was that was my next question. America is still reeling from the effects of what the president said on yesterday, that moms want the kids to go back, dads want the kids to go back, teachers want the children back in school, and kids are dying to get back into schools. And because of all of this, if I have to, I will withhold federal funding from all public school systems that do not reopen their schools. Sounds like someone's bullying us, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. And, I mean, it's like America says, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah.
So, on a fundamental level, I need us to meet around a core set of values. And so I know that, unfortunately, the resident at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue does not either have values and certainly doesn't share mine. And so we have no conversation to have. This is one of those we'll show you better than we can tell you moments. And, when I think about all that our students and families are going through, there are certain battles we can choose, certain battles we can't choose. This is one I have time for. This is one I am literally elected and chosen to engage in conversation about. And so, you know what? It's actually budget season. As you know, I mentioned we'll vote on the budget next Monday. I also had the opportunity to visit Georgetown's Certificate of Education Finance a couple of years ago. And so I have an education finance certificate, and I love this stuff. I love analyzing budgets and getting kind of deeper into how our public funds are being leveraged for our babies. Yeah. And so when you pick apart a school budget, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, I actually think it's tragic, but the federal government barely contributes anything. Your local school's budget is based primarily on your local property taxes and the state's contribution through the Department of Education. What the federal government does support is actually some of our neediest, most high risk, high need families and students. Those are students who are SPED through the IDEA Act. Those are students who need additional support because of Title I designation. Okay. And so when you think about our whole budget, the federal government only contributes like 8 or 9%. So, part of that, to put in context about our $650 million plus budget, their contribution is only a fraction. But even on top of that, the whole concept of withholding funds from the people who need the support most are bilingual students, SPED students, Title I scholars. I mean, it just, I'm never, at this point, I wish I could say I was surprised at the lows that, the nation's leader goes to, but it just is another thing on the long list of really awful choices that he's making.
Jasmine, and not just to throw him in by himself, but also the Secretary of Education, Betty DeVos, also shared that we need to hurry up. We need to speed up the process, were her words, and I'm not quoting, but the gist that I took away from reading her statement yesterday is that we absolutely need to speed up. Jasmine, what's taking you, the other 9 board members, so long to figure this thing out, right? Hurry up, Jasmine. You're wasting time. The audacity. Like, this is a trickle down of just poor decision making where he wants the opportunity to deflect. So as all that passion and fervor that I just shared about how bad I want our students back in school, I can't really imagine anybody who would disagree or who says I'm glad that it's this way. But we got here because of a lack of leadership on the front side of things. And nobody's forgotten that. So, we know what it takes. It takes testing. It takes tracking. It takes separation. It takes social distancing. It takes masks. And it takes all of that stuff times 10 in the communities who can't afford to do it by themselves.
And so, this is par for the course for them. I'm unsurprised and will remain unmoved in my position and stance on this until one of them sends their kids back to a public school.
Wow. Wow. Jasmine, listen, we've got to go to a commercial real quick, but on the other side of the commercial, I want to talk about the interest that Clayton County particularly has in the entire state makeup, right?
Awesome.
Give us just a few seconds. We'll go to commercial and be right back here on Long Talk.
Equality versus equity. Equality means every child gets a pair of shoes. Equity means every child gets a pair of shoes that fit. That means every school district has to meet every student's individual needs.
I'm Jerry O'Green with the Black Student Advocate. We advocate for black employees and black students within the K through 12 school districts. We hold school districts accountable to make sure that black students and employees are in a fair and equitable workplace.
We're back here on Long Talk with Miss Jasmine Bowles, and as you saw in the commercial, we're advocating for all students. And you made a very interesting point on the beginning before we went to break, and I want to have you reiterate that. And you said that most of the budget for our local school system, you said right at 90 or 92% of the budget
That's
is
right.
from homeowners like me and you and others in our
That's
county.
right. That's right. So I actually, like I said, I'm a nerd and I'm proud of it. And so I have, all of my annotated items here. And, we're looking at about $780 million of budget,
Mm-hmm.
and only 8 to 9% of it comes from the federal government. And it's
Wow.
for the babies who need the help the most. So, yeah, I wanted to say that to contextualize what we're working with here, and that we don't have to buy into fear, and we don't have to buy into this idea that he can send a tweet or say a thing and cripple us as a school district. That is not how our budget is set up. And
Sure.
so these are more empty threats, but targeted to the most innocent of our community. It just, I have nothing kind to say about this individual. And so I'm just trying to, be tactful about how disgusted I am, frankly.
Sure. Sure. I'm glad you brought that to my attention, because as my taxes have been increasing over the last few years, and I'm looking at really how my tax bill is broken up. Really, I say 50% goes to public education and 50% goes to public works, right?
Right.
And I've often said that if I am contributing so much, and my neighborhood and my community is contributing so much, exactly how much is the federal government? And you're saying less than 10%.
That's exactly right.
Can I ask you this? How
Yeah.
much is the state contributing, generally speaking?
I don't want to misquote, so let me actually tell you. I don't know the percentage, but of the 780, the state gives us about 302. Okay, so I actually could do a quick fraction and find out the percent of that for you. So when it comes to 302 of the 780, we are looking at about 38 to 40%. And so the rest is coming from local property taxes and local sales taxes, which is special here in Clayton County. As you know, the community has voted time and time again to give us that extra penny in the special purpose local option sales tax for eSPLOS, so just for educational capital projects. And so that is also a portion of our revenue sources. But I mean, again, the federal government should be doing more. And I just kind of outlined what comes from where, but I also want to name, I believe this in the way Every system was built.
Mm.
Few were done with us in mind. This one is no different. And the funding system for education was no different. So it's all based on property taxes, right?
Okay.
And we
Sure.
know that when folks live in concentrated communities, you're automatically going to have a different amount of property taxes that go to those local schools. So if you ask me, the state, every state really, but should be rethinking their funding formula, making sure that we try to detach these archaic rules to our funding budget, and give kids what they need, give teachers the salaries they deserve, provide the wraparound instruction that our kids need. But a lot of those decisions are made at the state level, and everybody suffered budget cuts this year, and no fault of our own.
Yeah. 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 So, for those that are watching, I hope now you really understand the value of how it is that you are playing an active role into the budget of your local school system. How your tax dollars and how the sales tax. My commissioner, shout out to Miss Felicia Franklin Warner. She's always
Yes,
on us about spending the tax dollars right here in the community.
that's right.
Pastor, if you're gonna go get that meal, do it right here in the community. You're gonna buy that new suit that you're gonna wear on Sunday. She tells me sometimes, get it right here in the community, and
Right.
buy your She's always harping because now it makes it bringing you to the table now helps me understand that it plays a very vital role in what happens in the classroom.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Not only are you part of the economic engine of this community,
Hmm.
and that is in like dollars and cents via taxes, but it also is true for your ideas and your thoughts and your contributions. You all don't just have to pay taxes or shop in Clayton County and forget about it. That's what your public meetings are for. That's why you got to go to your school board meetings. That's why you got to go to your commissioners meetings. We have 7 cities. That's why you got to go to your city council meetings. I mean, the decision to opt into Clayton County doesn't stop when you swipe your card. The opt in goes beyond the transaction, and we have to make sure that we stay engaged to follow the money, and make sure that it reaches those who need it most.
Absolutely. One of the comments tonight says that education and engagement is the key to
That's right.
improving our community, and you're so right, because the more that we are educating our students and engaging in conversations with students and leaders like yourself and residents like myself
That's
and
right.
other community leaders, I think that we are making and providing, um, we're providing a better environment and atmosphere for productivity and progress and prosperity to take place
Amen to
in our
that.
community. And just even talking about prosperity, I want to ask this question because I know time is getting away from us. I read a recent study that said that Clayton County public schools rather, um, has is more densely populated with black and brown students than any other county in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me say that again for those that are in the back. Clayton County Public Schools, right here in Clayton County, Georgia, we have more black and brown students per capita than any other district in the entire state of Georgia. And Jasmine, I want to ask you this question. It may be a little tedious, but if we are the representation of our community, and right now our community is crying out against the injustices in our community, what is our responsibility from both sides, or does one side have more of a leverage than the other to address what's going on in our community currently?
Wow. A beautiful question, and a loaded question.
Sure. I'm sorry.
So,
Unpack this as
no,
slow as you
don't you
so
be
desire.
sorry. That's what we're here for, right? The short answer is yes. There's no doubt we have a responsibility and a commitment to the broader movement that impacts people who look like us nationwide and internationally.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one of my favorite things about being a product of this community, living here, working here, and serving here now.
Yeah.
Some of the other isms that plague other communities don't, I don't get to, be, I don't have the same problems, right? Like here in Clayton County, the way I put it, there's no old fat white man to point at right now.
True. True.
That's how I put it. Our leaders look like us,
Mm-hmm.
and we are diverse representations of our community. What I don't want us to forget, though, is that that happened over time. And so
Yeah.
again, the systems that we confront today still may or may not have been designed with us in mind. It does not fall deaf on me that I have to drive by a Confederate cemetery in downtown Jonesboro. I haven't forgotten that the tourism center is dedicated to Gone with the Wind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which glorifies plantation life. Terra Boulevard is named after the key figure from that book. Like these are things that our community still needs to unpack and face. But what I will say I'm really proud of is one of the main things I like to focus on here, because identity doesn't always get lost. We've got a lot of folks who agree with me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I am constantly challenging the notion of ageism. So even if racism doesn't plague our community the way that it does others, I really like your point. We get to be a cool representation of what the right stuff looks like. But even within Black and Brown communities and all of the, you know, allies, to be frank with you, there are plenty of good white people here in Clayton County.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes all of us. But I just want to see young people like me and like the kids that I serve have their voices heard, respected, acknowledged, and incorporated, and not for show, but in deep, meaningful, systemic change and policies. And so that's some of what I'm committed to doing, not only through my community organization Proof, but also with the Young Democrats of Clayton County
Mm-hmm.
and all of the young people that were registering to vote for the first time in high schools and beyond.
Yeah. And again, I've always said that the responsibility lies with you and I. And you made a very valid point. There is no old white man to point at, and that's why I think again the inspiration. And I hate to keep going back to this for you being, and I'm happy to say my school board representative is that I look at somebody who is my sister,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
You are easily my sister. You're
That's right.
easily my first cousin. You could easily be sitting at my table for family dinner. And
Right.
that's why we can engage in conversation, and I don't have to be afraid. By the same token, it does not give me permission to be disrespectful, to be in any way condescending, or in displaying any type of disregard, because I respect the fact that you have paid a sacrifice and are now fighting for what is transpiring right here in the community. And particularly, we have been seeing individuals bringing up the injustice, particularly with what's been going on with Black Lives Matter and other groups. And just quickly, again, these are the thoughts of Jasmine Bowles, and you're not on record here from the county or anything. What's been your thoughts about the Black Lives Matter movement and what's been going on with addressing the inequalities of our community?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'm all right, right? And I'd be lying if I said everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't just outright traumatized from what has become this obsession with watching my brothers and sisters die needlessly at the
Yeah.
hands of police and others. Um,
Mm.
and I think in addition to just naming how hurtful and traumatic this is, I also want to name that, like, maybe even if it hurt so bad but had time to recover, it'd be different.
Yeah.
But it's back to back, assault after assault. And even if our brothers and sisters aren't dying in every video, you still see the carelessness with which, as they call them, Karens, right, approach just like any situation, just out of lack of humanity. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And I just want to name that for anybody else who feels that way. I can't watch every video, and I can't immerse myself to social media sometimes the way people would like me to or wished I would. We each have to protect our peace despite all that's going on, because as bad as we want to fight to have Breonna Taylor's murderers arrested and charged, there is still a pandemic. And there is nothing that you can do for Breonna Taylor and her legacy if you don't survive, right? And that goes to every brother and sister we've lost and everyone we want to fight for. And so, you know, I am absolutely heartbroken at what I'm seeing happen to my people here in America and internationally. But I also want to encourage people that the first thing you should do is take care of yourself. As selfish as it sounds, you have to wear your mask, protect your mind, body, and soul. Remember to be in prayer. Remember to focus on what you can control. And that is a very long list of things within our control. But the things that we can't control, like this pandemic, we can't let that be added to the weight of what we face as Black people on top of our ancestors' pain that is already passed down to us. So that probably wasn't the answer you were looking for, as, you know, beautiful, but it's real. It's how I feel. And for anybody else who's pissed off, sad, tired, all of it, I hear you and I understand. That's why I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is the answer I wanted to hear, Jasmine, because I'm just happy to know that while you are fighting for the interest of what's going on in the halls of academia, you're also a part of the struggle with what's going on in the community at large.
Right.
And I think that's so unique that you can do both at the same time.
Thank you.
And
Thank
be an
you.
advocate for not only kids, but for those that finish school.
Yeah.
And have to face the challenges of our community and of our city and larger of our world, because it's a great thing, as one of the persons in the comments said earlier, when we educate and we engage, but then when we send these young people every May, you put on that regalia and that robe, and you pass out diplomas, and we send so many young Black men and young Black women into the world, and not knowing what their future and what their destiny looks like, and but to know that you don't just stop once you pass that diploma out. You continue to fight for their interest and making our community a better place. Jasmine, even today as we were preparing for this, as many persons found out that you were going to be on the show, some said, Jasmine went to school with my kids. My son's baseball coach said, my first cousin. We used to laugh at our fathers and grandparents because everybody in the community knew everybody, right?
Right.
But I'm not feeling nostalgic, but I am feeling a level of appreciation that we know each other again.
Amen.
Speak to that real quickly. How does that feel to you?
You know, that is why I continue to repeat that I know who I serve and I know how I got here, and it was not alone. You know, I say that all the time. I can't remember anything I've ever accomplished alone, because whether a human was involved or not, God certainly was. And so, you know, the idea that we're self-made or got here, you know, pulling up by our bootstraps. It's just a lie. And the sooner we tell folks how imperfect we are and how we all need help, the sooner I think we'll all get the help we need. So yeah, there's a level of intimacy here in Clayton County that is undeniable, whether we are repping Southside with an F or the TH, or whether, we're at the Capitol and see each other across the room. And we all know that while we may live here in Clayton County, a lot of us work and play throughout any of Metro Atlanta's 9 to 12 counties. And so no matter where you are, if you see a Clayton County resident or neighbor or friend, there's a connection. Not only is it about locale and proximity, just being close to each other, but let's call it what it is. I think everybody loves an underdog. And at the end of the day, we're one of Atlanta's gems that constantly has to fight to be recognized for the right reasons in the right ways. From the media to the school system to our taxes to all the stories we tell each other and ourselves about our home. And so I think that's another connection we all have here. It's just the determination to write not only our personal narratives, but our community's narratives. We'll tell you who we are. You don't tell us. And Clayton County residents will tell you we're one big family, and it's true.
Wow. Jasmine, I've enjoyed this conversation. I've enjoyed this dialogue. Again,
Thank you. Me
before
too.
I let you go, I want to say that I sincerely appreciate all that you have done, all that you're doing, and all that you will continue to do for our great District 1 and our county at large.
That means the world to me. Thank you for having me tonight for the Long Talk Show, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. Can't wait to do it again.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. Friends, tonight we were so privileged to have meaningful dialogue, to also have the very charismatic Miss Jasmine Bowles to come and share with us and to talk to us concerning what's transpiring. These are uncertain times. Things are extremely fluid right now. And when things are fluid, I know that there's a lot of confusion and there's need for clarification. So I hope that you heard tonight concerning the most recent information that has emanated from the Office of the Superintendent of the Clayton County Public Schools and from the Board of Education. Tonight, do me a favor, please, and I mean this for informational purpose, because knowledge is key. And most people don't know because they just haven't heard, right? Doesn't make you dumb or ignorant. You just haven't heard. Nobody told you. So this is why it's your responsibility tonight to please share this. Please share this, because somebody needs to know what's getting ready to happen, because they've got to govern their lives accordingly with their children and all of the other interests of community. And please share this. And so somebody said, how can I share this? Please connect with Long Talk tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or this has made it to another platform. I need you to share it with someone so that they can be in the know as to what's going on right here in the Clayton County Public School System. Well, again, Dante Long signing off here on Long Talk, saying I've enjoyed this dialogue. Join us again next Tuesday for a wonderful conversation here on Long Talk. God bless you.
Follow us on Facebook at Dante A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Dante Long. Follow us on YouTube at Dante A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to Long Talk.